Episode 14 of the Daily Blog, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I bought a rip-off third-party Devastator for my son because he wanted the Constructicons in it. We opened it yesterday, and you can tell it's kind of a rip-off, but it's not bad for something for a 5-year-old to play with. It was only like $12. So he's slowly noticing little things like some of the heads don't retract, and the Decepticon symbol is the shape of a Decepticon symbol, but the inside is all different. So, but he's happy. So that's what's going on in our house right now. It's a big exciting fake Devastator week here. And I mentioned yesterday I'm going to be at NC Comic Con. And I've got 2 back-to-back shows, NC Comic Con and South Carolina Comic Con in Greenville next weekend, the 25th, 24th, 25th, the 20 weekend of the 25th. They're both 2-day shows. And thought I'd just talk a little bit about conventions. Comic book conventions for there's 2 ways you can approach a convention. There's either the networking approach or the making money approach, and both happen regardless of what your focus is. But a lot of people, a lot of people show up there to just make money. Some people show up there just to do the networking thing. And I kind of fall more towards the trying to make a little more money than a lot of networking. It's just, I'm not a great networker to begin with, but if I have one skill, it's that I just keep showing up. So over time, I get to know people. You show up at the hotel bar after the show, or you're hanging out, and eventually you get to know people. And but some of I've always been, I'm still trying to figure out how to set up shows. And I've been doing shows since 2004, sitting behind the table, and I've seen things change, and just the displays, right? You're trying to get how best to display your stuff. And for a long time, as companies came that it seemed that we're able to, we're selling up the perfectly sized retractable banner, and so everybody's got those. And then I noticed that some shows, everybody's like, C2E2 was really bad about this. Like, I was walking around, and the banners were just huge, the signs for artists, and you could step back. They have steps there, and you can step and look out, and everything is just huge. And then my little normal size banner. But in other shows, everybody's got those little. So, but one thing I used to be big on was not on your table, not setting up vertically, because I found that you'd go bring your stuff, and then the person next to you would be blocking the line of vision. And for a long time, I was like, oh, don't do that. But the thing is that everybody does that now. So at a certain point, you can be the purist and be the one without a display, and go home broke, but with your high and mighty principle. But also, if everybody's doing it, more people are doing it, that's the norm, then the whole idea of blocking someone who doesn't really apply, because that's just kind of what the standard is. So, and then you see a lot of guys and girls who aren't working in comics show up that have the wall of prints that stretches to halfway to the ceiling, and they make a lot of money, but that's a lot of setup. I don't have that many prints, but it's definitely not. It's very easy to get lost in a convention. You're kind of depending on your reputation outside of that convention to bring people in, and for the most part. Now, if you've got some art that really pops, that people really like, they'll kind of come to your table. But one thing I still do not like is the whole used car salesman pitch, and I've been next to those guys. Um, and it is usually guys. Not girls are smarter and don't try to do this, but the whole it bugs me. I did have somebody once, as somebody was coming to my table, they get their attention away. Don't do that. Don't. There's some airspace here, right? If someone is looking at your neighbor's table, you don't grab them out of their airspace. So just be aware of kind of your surroundings and what's going on. Don't be a used car salesman. And people, I also found that like at San Diego, I have a tendency not to walk down the small press aisle, or if I do, I'll walk dead center and don't make eye contact if I can help it, because a lot of small press people, especially people that are just starting, and I used to be in small press a lot before I kind of moved more over to Artist Alley. Not at San Diego. Well, I don't set up at San Diego anymore, but the small press people tend to be really bad about that. Oftentimes, not everybody, but you're more likely, it seems to me, to encounter it there than you are the professionals in Artist Alley, where they're just trying to grab your attention and pull you over here, and then I don't think passerbys like that. I don't. And I think it drives. I think it does more harm than good. But again, that whole thing is born out of just the frustration that everybody has of just kind of, hey, I'm here too in this sea of stuff. So, yeah. I mean, I wish I had some. I'm still trying to keep more and more trying to keep my eyes open for what's going on at conventions. Just what people are doing as far as the setup goes, just the physical nuts and bolts setup, right? Of what draws people in, what helps people see your stuff, because people are there, they want to see stuff, they want to buy something cool, they want to buy something that they like, and if you think you have that, you need to find the best way to present that without annoying your neighbors, because comics is small, and I have found that the people that are really annoying, they're probably not going to last in the long run. They just tend not to. Annoying in terms of just being the salesman, the overly annoying salesperson. So I've got to get some work done now. I did have a question in one of the previous posts about Patreon and stuff, and I think maybe I'll talk about Patreon. Patreon's hard to figure out for me. I've been on there for a while. I revamped it recently, I think this year, with a broader focus, and I'm updating it pretty regularly, and I've got a webcomic that I'm doing just for Patreon supporters. But as far as getting it out, I mean, yeah, well, I'll talk about that next time. It's tough. Everything's tough. That's all right. So I'm going to get to work. See you tomorrow.